Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. Today, we are joined by dear friends, Sean Stone. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stoked.
Nonstop. So, Sean is a fantastic person. I have crossed paths with Sean a couple times in my life. We actually worked together at a outdoor retail establishment for a while there. And so I had to ask Sean to come on the podcast. He's also a very accomplished actor, director, writer, poet, photographer. I mean, the list kind of just continues on. Children's book author, soon to be, there it is.
All of it.
Yeah. He has shared the same camera lens as Pierce Brosnan on AMC's The Sun.
It's true.
It is true.
You can watch it.
You could go watch that stuff. Yeah, it's great times. You could also go check out his movies that he has shot and directed. The Root, Old Friend
On YouTube.
Yeah,
Link here. Maybe. I don't know.
I'll have to learn how to do that kind of editing, but I'm willing to try. And if nothing else, I will put it in the description and show notes below. So, Sean, thank you so much for joining us here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, diving right in, let's talk a little bit. Okay, so I want to just kind of set the stage for outdoor retailer, what I mean by that. So this particular shop, based in Austin, Texas, the land of, keep Austin weird, yeah, absolutely, as they try. Yeah. The eye roll was so devastating. Yeah. But the owners of this shop, they've been around since, I don't remember when they started. Do you remember anything about the history of it?
1970.
Something like that.
God.
You remember the
It's
exact
all in
year.
there, man. It's in there. It's a part of my DNA.
I was going to say, yeah. And based on conversation we had right before this, I found out you worked there for 5 years.
5 whole years.
5 whole years.
Yeah.
I worked there for 9 whole months.
It's a pretty solid run,
Yeah,
dude.
it's a pretty solid run. Okay, so when did you officially leave?
I left in... it's a really funny story. I had gotten to the point where I was kind of done with that place. Not to be rude, just
No.
that's life.
Yeah.
And was just like, I'm out, done. Mm-hmm. And I threw in my 2 weeks, and I was like, hey guys, I'm not doing this anymore. Mm. And I had just read for a show the week before that. Didn't know I was going to book the show. Didn't know anything was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then I booked the show, which is on AMC. It's the Sun. And had quit. And so I just bailed. It was a perfectly seamless, synchronistic moment in life when you can baton yourself off to your creative self. Wish I could do that right now.
Okay.
Just holding out the hand.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, man, but it was back in 2016 or 2015. I can't remember which.
I think it was, yeah. I started there in 2015.
In 2016.
And then I left in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was right in that whole window.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the things you actually said, we're going to go deep again on this podcast, which happens from time to time. So it is interesting, kind of what you were talking about there of having, read for a show that you didn't know if you were going to get it or not. You had just met this lovely lady. And when we worked there, we were doing inventory one night, and you told me that you were going to marry her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just and then he absolutely married her.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Yeah, they're very happy. They're together. And the funny thing is I met my wife at that same exact time.
Dude, that's cool.
And so you told me that, and I was like, that's interesting. That's the exact same way I feel about this person that I just met. And so it is kind of funny how life typically kind of conspires behind you whenever you're kind of acting in alignment with all the other things that you want.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Super weird.
That is super weird. All right, moments of inspiration. There's also this tradition at this place where on your last day, whenever you left, you signed the wall in the staircase with kind of the parting words. Do you remember what you said?
Something about a boat. I don't know, man. It was
classic.
Don't sink.
Yeah,
anchor.
There you go. Yeah, he knows.
Oh man.
No, I don't remember the quote. Something about a harbor safety.
Sure.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. Safe harbor and boats and such.
Scurvy.
Yeah.
Eat your limes. I don't know.
No. That's I mean the historical context behind the scurvy and eating your limes. I mean that's why we call it British limeys.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like because they from like the long boat trip that it took to come from the UK to the Americas, you would get scurvy. And so in order to prevent that, they brought along limes and lime juice, which preserved a little bit longer. And so they ate limes to keep the scurvy away, and so they got called limeys.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
The more you know.
I know. Yeah. I am full of like random like
That's a good one.
trivial facts. Yeah, it is a fun one. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, my quote. Okay, so there was this song that played on the radio there. And it's by a gentleman by the name of, I don't know if you've ever heard this guy. His name is John Mayer.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So like he had this one song, in the chorus of this song, it was like the hook. And I always laughed about the song every time it came on, like with anybody that was around, because I was like, it just feels wrong. Like, I don't know, like, cause like you hear it and it's, and I'm not kidding, when like the lyrics to this song were, and this is the hook, this is the catch, this is the refrain. He goes, "You're like 22 girls in one, and none of them know what they're running from." And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. And also,
what it could mean is not a good thing.
Exactly. Because, like, John Mayer, he's got, his...
Lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle. I was going to say reputation, I suppose, which may not be deserved. I've seen him in interviews. I really don't know. I don't know the guy personally, obviously. Here we are in a converted garage. Like, I don't know John Mayer. But, what's up, John? But that lyric I always thought was super ridiculous. So, like, I literally on the wall wrote, "Dear name of the establishment, you're like 22 girls in one," and then I signed my name. And I was like, out.
That's the best.
And yeah, and I literally the next week moved to Maryland with my girlfriend at the time, now wife. Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. It is weird how that happened, like, to both of us basically right at the same time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
It is.
For sure.
Oh, life is the best.
It is.
Life rips.
Life rips.
Life rips.
That's the quote, dude.
Yeah, life rips, and done. Yeah, so let's let's talk about some of the interesting fellows that you've met at. So was this like your only retail job that you've worked? Have you ever worked any other like customer service, customer facing, anything like that? Well, I mean, you kind of do it now, but it's more remote.
Yeah, it's super remote now.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty much this, just like me and a microphone and like the internet.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's, I don't think I did. I mean, I worked like some like little jobs as a kid, like a kid, like, but yeah, nothing. I worked in a mechanic shop before that, and I think that was, then I worked in like oil and gas for a little bit.
Sure.
So
Yeah, no worries.
Scar
No,
in my
hey.
body.
We're in Texas. This is a job that a lot of people have.
Yeah, no, it's totally true.
I mean, and to let you guys know, just out there in the interwebs world, that this podcast is brought to you entirely by Wind Energy, just for the record.
Yes.
So yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, no, that was it.
Sweet.
And then I sold honey for a while
Wait, okay,
Wait.
who
Yes.
did you sell honey for?
for a company in California.
Okay,
Some local beekeepers out there.
nice.
Acting jobs were getting pretty slim.
Sure.
So the honey was not. So I was like, all right, cool, man.
Yeah.
So we bottled up honey and sold honeys all across. Sold honeys. No, we did not do that. We sold honey.
22
Singular.
girls all in one.
Yeah, there you go.
There, full circle.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Bees are all female in the hive, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Dang,
that's
this
right.
is going wild, man. We are getting like Nat Geo. This is like deep stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
this is educational, really.
It's true. PBS. Anyway, yeah, man. No, that was it. That was all I'd done up until that point.
Nice.
And then I did the acting deal, and then I did some writing too for a while. But yeah, that was the only front facing retail thing I did.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you ever miss it?
There are weird days.
Sure.
There are weird days
Yeah.
when you do miss like the time and maybe the innocence in life. I don't really know if it's the job.
Yeah. The
but it's like
nostalgia.
that window of time of like
Sure.
poor freedom. Not that I have rich freedom now, by any means. But there was like a freedom of just like innocence and trying to figure everything out and being really holistic and trying to just do the best you could without the jadedness of the weight of the world,
Totally.
maybe.
Yeah, no, I
Missed
identify with that
I think.
entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. There was something that was really nice about being able to like literally turn in a 2 weeks notice at a job and then just be like, all right, and the week after next, I'm going to be in Maryland.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
Yeah.
and I don't have any money. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope my car makes it. Like, I remember thinking that. Like, that was my biggest, like, concern in life.
What car was it?
It was a 2008 Ford Explorer.
Oh, yes, it was.
Oh, yes, it was. It made it there fine. Oh God, this was like so dumb. So we drove from Dallas, Texas to just north of Baltimore, Maryland, like kind of like with this first load of stuff. And then we were like, okay, you know what? In a couple weeks, we're going to drive back to Texas. And then we drove back to Texas, flew from Texas to London, spent some time in London, flew back to Texas, drove from Texas back to Maryland with the second load of stuff. And then, like 9 months later, drove from Maryland back to Texas. Yeah.
Whoa.
Because we decided that we didn't want to live there anymore and we just wanted to move back to Texas. And then we were here for a little bit. And then we were like, you know what? We got this weird opportunity in Colorado. So we're going to drive from Texas to Colorado. And then we were there for a year and we're like, nah, let's go back to Texas. So we drove from Colorado back to Texas. And I'm not kidding. Like that car like held on super tight. And it's just like, you could kind of tell. Like it was tired.
It was begging.
Like, it was like, yeah, it was like ready to give up. And so like we get back to Texas and like within weeks, it was like the back wheel. Just one day I was like driving and it just goes, and I was like, huh, don't know what that was. Let's go to a Firestone. And like pulled in and like I talked to the people and they're like, oh yeah. That's your, it's like some bearing, like the ball bearing or something on your car. It's like, it's frozen. I was like, cool. And they're like, it'll be like $2,000. And I was like, oh, that's less cool.
Burn it.
Yeah. I was just like, nope, riding a bike for a few years. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, man. Cars. We've talked about cars a couple of times on this
Every
podcast,
time
strangely
we've had
enough.
a guest so far.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Oh, man. So, yeah. So, like, back to working at this outdoor retailer that
man.
we worked at. So, like, okay, so I do remember there were some pretty interesting fellows that would like come back into like gear, which is like if you walk into the store, like there's a lot of like goofiness. There's like toys like galore. There's like a shoe section. There's a bunch of clothes, and then back in like the cave, the dungeon,
yeah.
Not a dungeon. The cave. There was like all this like technical gear, carabiners, ropes, things like that. I always wanted to work back there, but it was like there was just no need for me to do that. But I was just like, I just want to cut the ropes. I just want to know how to do the stuff.
Dude, yeah, we could have like paged it, made it happen.
Yeah.
Like send him back.
Send it back.
Send it back.
We got a rope to cut.
Done.
He's the only one. Yeah.
We're gonna call it. We're gonna page our rope cutter.
Yeah.
So
requires special certifications.
dude, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'd be surprised. Yeah, it was a cool place back there, man. There were like all kinds of happenings. You get some really, really cool folks, like people going to Kilimanjaro. We're gonna climb the Mountain of Doom. I don't know, man. They're going somewhere in the world. They're climbing mountains.
Yeah. Pumped for him.
Super stoked for them. They were super cool people. There were some oddballs coming in. Yeah, I think the weirdest, I don't even know if I want to talk about this on the podcast, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Please.
There was a guy, there were multiple men who came back there that would make some comments about, you said we can't call it a dungeon. They were looking for rope for things in their lives.
Oh.
And it
Oh,
was like,
vibes.
It was like, yeah. So,
Definite vibes, yeah.
yeah, different vibes for sure. Not going to Kilimanjaro, maybe going to kill a man named Jaro. I don't know, man. Crazy times back there in the gear cave. So yeah,
Oh,
up in the comics and up in like the toys and gifts and games, it was a little more low-key and calm.
Yeah,
sometimes.
a little more innocent. It was
Yeah.
mostly like, oh, I have a 5-year-old. They're in this developmental stage. Like, what wood blocks would you recommend? Or like whatever it is. And I'm just like, I think these are all great options.
These make a nice clicking sound. so that will
it was
drive
literally
you
that.
wild.
And then like they also encouraged us to like play with the toys while we were there. And so like I also was like one of the few people that actually got in trouble for playing with the toys. And I was,
Yes, you did.
I did.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
it's
like
point of pride.
serious trouble or was it like Andrew,
it was,
buddy?
Yeah, it was like that. And it's like one of those things I've always considered myself like when I get hired at a place, like I'm usually very professional, but then I'm also like my spirit animal is like a golden retriever puppy. And so like if you unleash that part of me, like it's going to be really hard for me to hold that part back. So when they're just like, "Oh, by the way, here's like this little like cannon thing that shoots like a ball of air." like slowly across a room with like deadly accuracy.
Yeah, it does.
Like it's hard to explain what this thing is if you don't know, but it's like an Airzooka, I think is what it was called.
Oh,
called,
okay.
yeah.
I know what you're.
And it was like
Sponsored by.
Yeah. Oh God, that would be
I would
amazing.
love
Rad.
that.
Airzooka.
You don't even have to give us
Give me a
money.
call.
Just give me an Airzooka.
And then the
From this
podcast, the
distance.
only thing you hear is and then you just see hair. But yeah, I accidentally shot a customer with the Airzooka. Yeah, and
Sweetest
it was
old
Does
lady
this
you've ever
thing like
seen.
hit hard, or is it like a balloon?
no,
Like,
it's like if you're not expecting it, like it's like hair, and you're like, oh God.
It's like rolling down your window, driving down the highway, and just going, huh, like
Yeah, no, that's accurate.
Yeah.
So like oh God, this is funny because like I didn't really necessarily have any stories that I was thinking of until just now. But like so like yeah, there was this one lady. She was over in shoes, and so like if you can like kind of imagine in your head like. So you walk in, and directly to the right is kind of where I worked. That was like toys, games, books, all that fun stuff. And then there's registers right there. And then if you keep walking straight, there's the shoe department. And so the shoe department had these displays kind of like in the middle of the store. And so someone was shopping at those displays right there in the middle of the store. And we also had a coworker that was in between that person and that person shopping. And I was told to play with toys. So I just was like, Airzooka time. Like, grab the Airzooka. I go, I aim, perfect shot. Because I've worked with this thing, like, intimately now for a while. Perfect shot. I line it up, and I just, like, let it fly. And this air ball, it's not that fast.
No.
Like, it's surprisingly slow the way it works. It's like, shot, landed. Like, it takes about that much time. And so, of course, shot, coworker moves, lands on the person that was right behind, and she goes, ah! And like hair flies up, and I just immediately was like trying to hide it behind the back, and I just like set it down, like ditch it, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Did you see the coworker move, and you're just like, oh shit?
Yeah, well, there's like that moment of like, oh, perfect, no, and like. Yeah, it's like when you see stuff in slow-mo, it's like kind of like that moment of where it was just like, oh shit, okay, I just did that thing to that person. And so like immediately it like happens, they turn around and I was just like, sorry, that was me. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how old are you? And I'm like, I know. It's like, I don't have a response to
If
this.
a random puff of air hit me out of nowhere, my first inkling wouldn't be like, oh, a human being just did this. I don't believe in the avatar.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be like, what spirits, what voodoo is in this place?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I should probably like hold myself accountable and apologize if I need to apologize and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm with you. Like there's this other part that if that ever happens to me, if somebody ever shoots me with an Airzooka, don't worry about like fessing up to it or anything. It's welcome. Thank you for the experience in life. Yeah.
Within
for
2
sure.
minutes, it'll be funny. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have one other weird story that I thought of that your kind of story of the fellow with the ropes for the things that are not for ropes reminded me of, which is didn't happen at this store, but it was okay. So I used to work clothing retail like way back in the day. Yeah, and it was. I mean, I don't ever want to wear clothing. I worked it for like 4 years. It was like not my first job, but like my second job. My first job was at a tennis center, believe it or not. But my second job was at this clothing retail place, and drywall anchor. That's what that is. And so like I'm like in the store and I'm like just like kind of facing up a lot of these clothing items like on this rack and like all that stuff. And then this one dude I just see kind of at the corner of my eye just like walk by covered in white powder. And I was just like, huh? Yeah. And it's like when that happens, you're just like, you know, you've got like, all right, there's a fork in the road. I can make a choice right now. Like I'm either going to go see what this is, potentially opening the door to lots of trouble, or I'm just going to be like, no, I need to go away. Yeah, I chose to follow. So I was just like kind of like looking around the corner, like looking to see where this dude went, where he's going. And then I just see a dog leash with no dog on the end of the dog leash just slide by on the floor. And I was like, okay.
It's a horrible image.
Right. And then behind me, I hear someone go, hi. And I turned around and I was just like, oh, it's the dude that's covered in powder. Yeah. And I guess the dog leash was like kind of like dragging behind like the legs of tables or something. So he had it attached to his ankle and it was like a 20-foot dog leash.
Oh my
no
God.
dog in the dog leash. Home dude covered in white powder, and yeah, we're talking like this is in like a pretty affluent area in Dallas, like the Preston and Royal area in Dallas. And so it's like I see this happen and I'm just like, okay, hi. And he's just like, I'm looking for my dog. And I was like, cool. I was like, all right, yeah, hang out here for a second. And then I was just like, I must go find someone that is on a higher pay level than me. Yeah. Oh, good times.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you ever find out what white powder it
No,
was?
no. I can only assume it was a mountain of cocaine. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, somebody was having balloon fights with just cocaine. Yeah, or something. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the podcast today. Sean, thank you so much for being a guest.
Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. All right, cool. You know what to do. You know how the internet works. You know how social media works. I'm not going to tell you how to, press buttons, but press buttons. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.